like I said, the Mariners made a trade Tuesday. I'm sure you saw. It's an interesting one. It's one of low to medium impact because it's just a reliever and it's just one reliever. But Seattle acquired 30-year-old right-hander Rafael Montero from the Texas Rangers for pitching prospect Jose Corniel and a player to be named later. I have no idea who or what the player to be named later is going to be, what package maybe Texas is thinking about, why it's a player to be named later instead of a player to be named today. Generally is because it's two or more players that Texas has to choose from. Sometimes it's conditional. We'll have to wait and see on that. Montero is a former top prospect with the Mets. I made the transition to the bullpen full-time prior to the 2019 season. He also pitched in relief for about half of 2017. He then missed all of 2018 after having Tommy John surgery. So he spent the past two seasons, and again, the 2020 season being a 60-gamer, he only pitched in 17 and 2/3 innings because of the pandemic. But he's been pretty good in the bullpen. Not great. He's not somebody you necessarily want to give the ball to in a 2-1 tight game in late September as you're, trying to, make up ground in a pennant race or clinch a spot or whatever. But he's been decent, posting FIPS of 382 and 370. Interestingly, though, his xFIP is all over the map, and that's based off of contact. How hard is the contact against him? How frequent is the hard contact? Things like that. His xFIP in 2019 was 345, which is very solid, and then it ballooned to almost 5 in 2020, despite the fact that his runs allowed remained pretty solid. Again, it's a fairly small sample of just 17 and 2/3 innings from this past season. In relief, though, Montero's strikeout rates moved from mostly the low 20s to 26% and 30% the last 2 years. And perhaps most importantly, his walk rates, he started the 2019 season with a walk rate just over 12%. He posted a 4.4% walk rate in 2019 and an 8.3% walk rate in 2020. So it seems like the transition to the bullpen has helped him maybe pare down his arsenal, miss some more bats, max out, and throw more strikes because, maybe he's only throwing 2 or 3 pitches instead of 4 or 5. And if you look a little deeper, that's pretty much what's happening. After the Tommy John, the velocity is certainly back. He averaged 96 miles an hour in 2019, 96.5 miles an hour on that fastball the past in 2020. So that's certainly not a question at this particular point. And I mentioned the walk rate. So at least the general control certainly all the way back and then some for Montero after the elbow surgery. He has a changeup and a slider, but I think the noteworthy difference is the fact that he threw a sinker, a 95-mile-an-hour sinker, 22% of the time in 2020. That's not something he'd done before. Hitters didn't handle either fastball very well in 2020, and the sinker kept the extra base hits down, even though the four-seamer did not. So a little bit like the Justice Sheffield conversation that we had. And again, Montero, I'm not comparing Montero to Sheffield, but in a similar way, you have a smaller statured pitcher. Montero's 6 feet, 6'1", maybe, 195 pounds. Sheffield's probably not even 6 feet tall. You throw a four-seam fastball, it's probably going to be a little bit flat unless you're coming straight over the top. So Sheffield adding the two-seamer, that sinker, wasn't really necessarily all that much about ground balls, although that will be a bit of a benefit, and it was for Sheffield, but it helps keep the barrel of the bat off the baseball. And that's mission accomplished for Rafael Montero as well. He's always had a better changeup than a breaking ball. That was one of the issues with Montero as a starter. That's also played out in relief as well. It's a deceptive changeup. It's hard, 88 to 90 miles an hour, 29% swing and miss, and opponents hit just 200 with a 267 slugging percentage this past season when they put it in play. The project here with Montero may be about pitch selection. He could come in, do exactly what he's done either last year, the year before, or a combination of, and be fine. But how much should he throw each fastball type? How much should he throw the slider? It was well below average over the course of his career in terms of consistency. He threw it just 7% of the time this past year. It yielded good results, but it may have been because, and I went back and watched three outings of Montero's in 2020. It's a short breaking slider. It's a fairly hard slider. Those good results might be because he didn't use it as much. He didn't overthrow it. 7% of the time. It was about 13% of the time in 2019. It was pounded 400 average, 600 slugging percentage against Rafael Montero's slider in 2019. That's per StatCast. 72% fastballs, 4-seam plus sinker in 2020, 28% off speed, where in 2019 he threw 54% fastballs. So adding that sinker seems to have given him a different pitch that he had some confidence with, that could get some outs, maybe get a few ground balls here and there, but keep the barrel of the bat off the ball a little bit more consistently. At the end of the day, Montero's a middle relief arm in a very good bullpen, but he may immediately take on more of a late inning, high leverage role for the Mariners, considering he's now their best bullpen arm, at least with the best track record. Whether he closes, quote unquote, isn't really important at all. But he did do that for Texas. I believe he had 8 saves, for example. Not that that stat means anything, but I'll tell you he did pitch the 9th inning quite a bit for Texas in 2020.